And the reason I am not voting for this, that I'll be voting against this, is because I ran for property tax relief, and I didn't run to kick people off the circuit breaker. And that's what this bill is going to do. We have an increase. You get about a $180 increase for some people, but we also have a means test to it. And that means test isn't for multi-million-dollar homes. It's for 125% of median value. Now, what is that? What's 125% of median value in your county? In my county, it's $314,000. I posted a picture on Facebook, some of you might have seen recently, of a manufactured home on Ustick Road for sale for $300,000, and you don't get the lot. I heard in Twin Falls County, the median, 125% of median is $190,000. Now, what we're talking about with median is we're saying a little less than half of all homes in the state will no longer be eligible for circuit breaker. Now, I think some people will appreciate that increase, but we're going to be getting a lot of angry calls of people that got kicked off circuit breaker if we pass this bill. And I ran on property tax relief. I did not run on kicking people off the circuit breaker. Like I mentioned, we've seen people with their property taxes double. And what we're voting on with $125,000 homeowners exemption that is not indexed is we're voting on about $300 in relief. But I have $1,000 and $2,000 and $3,000 increases from my constituents in their property taxes. I also want to speak about some of these little cities that we forget about. I also represent Garden City, not just Boise. And when they take a 3 or 4% increase on their budget, that's one police officer. That's just one police officer. So when we're talking they need to hire 2 police officers, then they've already taken their 8%. So I will not be supporting this bill today. I ran on property tax relief, not to take property tax relief away from Idahoans.
Is there further debate? Gentleman from 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can't debate the merits of this bill because I don't know what I'm voting on. I've barely had time to read it, and I've had no time to study a 26-page bill that has such far-reaching impact on just about every citizen in the state of Idaho, from District 35 to District 15, and north, south, east, and west. My concern is the bill itself. And so if I could, Mr. Speaker, just use an analogy, if I could. I feel like we're on the fun bus to Jackpot, Nevada, okay? And it's been a long, bumpy ride. The bus broke down and it took 2 weeks to get it back on the road. And as we're pulling up to the casino, the driver says to everyone, you know, it's been I know everyone's tired. I know everyone's hungry. So I've arranged for a buffet inside the casino. And but there's 2 conditions that as you can take a look at the buffet, but as you get close to it, you have to put on a blindfold and you have to eat everything on the buffet. And if you have a food allergy, or if you're a vegetarian, or if some of that food is past its expiration date, you only have one of 2 choices. You either eat it all, or you eat nothing. And so I can't swallow what I don't know I'm eating. There could be some great things in this bill, and there could be some awful things in this bill. And the good gentleman from 14 said no process is perfect, and he's right. But there is a better process than what we're engaged in right now, trying to make a decision on a bill of such sweeping nature in a span of a couple of hours. And there isn't enough time all day to ask all the questions necessary to fully understand. The best process we have is the process that we have when we don't suspend the rules, which is public testimony, it's hearings, it's times to hear from stakeholders on such an impactful bill. So I can't support the bill, not because it's terrible from page 1 to page 26. I can't support a bill that I don't know what I'm voting on. And I can't imagine that any of us in this room fully know not just the fiscal note, but the longer term financial impacts, pros and cons, to the local governments that, and citizens that this will impact. Thank you.
Is there further debate? Hearing none. The lady from District 33.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Friends, I won't be long because a lot of good things have been said, but I wanted to just touch on a couple things and reiterate something the good gentleman from 14 had said. He mentioned that there are essentially two ways to cut property taxes or to change property taxes, and I think that's correct. The first is that you literally cut budgets, and I believe that was also referred by the other good representative over here. And those budgets, oftentimes, as we know, are local. The other way is to shift the burdens, and so much of what's been proposed does shift burdens. And in my city, in my area, in my county, shifting that burden hurts, and it hurts businesses. And our businesses have already been through a hard, tough time. Many of them not receiving some of the CARES money that was out there, and they were shut down. And now we're going to ask them to potentially, if we don't take this particular opportunity to lower taxes, we would propose another option that would ask them to shift the burdens. I mean, we've got a tough situation here, and I understand that people are hurting, but we as a body are going to make a decision for the state. Now, I understand that we've been talking about other situations where we have other areas and other cities that are really experiencing more of a problem. There's also a way to address that. It's called go to your city and your mayor and your council and quit spending so much of the budget. But that has to be more local. That's locally driven to say, we got to quit spending. And
tax
so,
breaks for the
some
rich
of other
guy
things that included
and
here, I'm one of those from
large
the city that
landowners.
understands what it's like when they take
Shift the
$400.
taxes.
And it really hurts.
To
So
the
I'm
towns.
very appreciative of this, and I appreciate what my good friend right here also said. I'm willing to do something, and I would hope that you would join in with me in giving this a green light.
Is there further debate? For what purpose does the good gentleman from 12 rise?
To debate for the second time
Does
briefly.
anyone wish to debate the bill for the first time?
Second time.
Well, it'll be your turn if they
Oh,
don't. Okay. Gentleman from 12 for the second time.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a clarification, in my city, and that's who I represent, so that's why I bring up my city. But in 2009, after the crash, it takes about 2 years for it to hit the city budgets when times were tough. Our fire department took a 12% cut. They had to lay off people. It was a hard time. We didn't just float on as normal. And that went for our police department, other departments as well. And also in past, the Association of Idaho Cities opposes the present bill. Thank you.
Is there further debate? The gentleman from district, hearing none, will the gentleman please stand and close the debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes you know how I get where I write down everybody's comment and I want to go jab them all and get even, but I'll be careful not to do that today. But I will talk about my good friends that on this side of the aisle that talked a lot about their concern about this not providing property tax relief, and we're confused and we don't understand and what are we doing here?
20
That's why I
years,
took the time
no
that
term
you've never
limit,
seen me
Mike
do to go
Moyle.
through the bill as long as I did. Property taxes are confusing. This is property tax relief. It does what they've asked for. Homeowners exemption goes up 25%. It does what the good gentleman from 12 has been concerned about. Also, it increases the circuit breaker. It shifts taxes in those components. Some of them come from the general fund, but it also does other things with foregone, with new construction. with urban
just
renewal,
like
that
the
provides
tax
relief.
shift of
This is a property
2006
tax relief
by
bill. I can't
Senator
help it if the
Rich.
good lady from 11 doesn't understand it. It provides tax relief. I don't know how else to say it. So let's talk about some of the concerns. I would go through the gentleman, good lady from 19, but I think your decisions are being made. But I do need to discuss some of the comments made by the gentleman from 12. Let's talk about Canyon County. Canyon County is a hub of one of the problems with property taxes. The hub. What happens in Canyon County? You heard the good gentleman talk about how in Canyon County, they didn't take the 3%. They didn't take the new construction last year. Good for them. Did you know they took the federal
This
money?
guy's been in office too
They don't
long.
talk about that, do they? And unlike Ada County, who took the federal money and gave property tax relief, they didn't. But they don't talk about that in the press. They grew their budgets. They didn't slow their growth. They used federal funds. And the problem they have this year is now they're going to try to double up to make up for that money in the past. Without this bill, they're going to be able to do that. More so. This will slow down what they can grab. This is a good bill.
It is not a good bill.
It really bothers me, by the way, that they didn't provide relief like some of the other counties. The one comment that was made.
You're
that really
springing it on
concerned me
everybody, sir. And you
is that
know
they
what
say
you're
this
doing.
will
You've
not
done it
provide
before
tax relief.
in the last
My
20
friends,
years.
This provides tax relief.
It does
Homeowners
not.
exemption goes up. Circuit breaker goes up. Fixes part of the problem with personal property shifting. Oh, that's right, tax relief. Fixes part of the problem with new construction. Oh, that's right, tax relief. Fixes part of the problem with foredrive. That's right, tax relief.
I knew salesmen like
It
this. They
fixes part of
usually
the
didn't do
problem
very
with
well
renewals.
in the long term.
Tax relief.
But when
That we're all wrapped
when your
around
election
because
is
maybe
funded
it's not.
by 200 lobbies
City called and has a
and you
fit,
pass
and
no
we give you
term
approval, my
limits
friends. The cities will never agree to fix
and no
anything
disclosure of
here.
assets
We are
while in
here
office,
this year. The
this is who you
Association of
get,
Representatives
Mr.
stood
Moyle.
up, and I'll never forget this because I was asking her questions, and we were talking, and she said there is a property tax problem. She admitted it, and then she said it's your fault, all you in this room, because you made the laws. Yet every time you try to fix it, who's the first one down here saying, oh, don't do that? And who's the first one down here that many of us in this room support and vote for? Not our constituents, not the person paying the bill. This is a good bill. This accomplishes
Mr. Moyle
what the
distributes
gentleman from
money
Florida's trying to accomplish.
from the
It accomplishes
lobbies
what we
to
need,
all
which
the
is property
counties
tax relief. I hope you can support
Idaho.
it, because if you can't support this, I assure you won't
Thousands
support
and
anything
thousands
else.
of dollars
Thank you.
every election cycle.
Thank you. Debate is closed. The question before us is, shall House Bill number 389 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will record their votes. Has every member voted? Representative Berch, how do you vote? I thought so, but anyway. Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and read the pairs.
Pattis votes aye, Toon votes nay, Jamordant votes aye, Matthias votes nay.
The vote count shows 48 in favor with 20 against and 1 absent. House Bill number 389 has passed the House and will be transmitted to the Senate.
Well, there you go. And you can see who voted for it. And it looks pretty party line to me. All Republicans. The only pushback was primarily by Democrats. And rightfully so. Pulling something and pulling something like, here it is, one day before, 26 pages, and listening to the diatribe of Mr. Moyle. Take a look. The tax shift of 2006 by Mr. Risch calling a special session in August, where they cut property taxes statewide by 3 mils, 0.003%, from 0.071% to 0.068%. The net result is in a 400 student rural school district, the state funding went from $1 million to $32,000. I provide the link for that. The property taxes are going up in the cities because of levies to replace the state funding. In the meantime, corporations and large landowners who happen to be in agriculture are getting tremendous tax breaks. I looked at one, and a state senator, and when they raised 43,000 property taxes in Bannock County, his taxes actually went down 20%. Take a look at the details. Take a look at the links I provide to show you how these kinds of 24-hour introduction of bills by the Republican Party and Mr. Moyle and company is really a way of feathering their nest. I can't put it any other way. And it's no property tax relief. This is no property tax relief. It's baloney.